Your presence here demonstrates our country's clear and strong commitment to fight corruption, economic crimes, and associated ills. The world now faces a changing financial environment with the emergence of digital currencies, complex company structures, and increasingly sophisticated illicit flows. Corruption has adapted to these new developments. It moves across borders, hides behind paper compliance, and exploits weak disclosure systems. That is why the theme of this conference, Unmasking Beneficial Ownership in the Fight Against Corruption and Recovery of Assets, goes to the very center of the problem. Corruption thrives where anonymity survives. Corruption is acting as a gatekeeper. The same report shows that 98.6% of those who paid bribes did not report them, and that the average bribe rose from 4,878 Kenya shillings in 2024 to Kenya shillings 6,724 in 2025. This is a 38% jump in 1 year. One of the most damning findings is that many citizens now believe reporting is pointless. This is a demonstration of a crisis of trust. There is another fact that should trouble each one of us. The survey found that respondents aged 65 years and above were often forced to pay bribes simply to access services, while those aged 18 to 64 mostly paid to speed up the process. The elderly are being made to pay to access services tied to healthcare, retirement, documents, and dignity. Ladies and gentlemen, that is cruel. There are people walking government corridors, walking legislative corridors, influencing our legislation, influencing very serious potential financial outlays in terms of how our budget will be structured. But they don't disclose who they represent. They don't disclose how much they are being paid. They don't pay tax. But their lobbying can make a massive difference between whether a Kenyan citizen will receive medicine or not receive medicine. If you are a lobbyist in the US today or you want to go, you have to disclose. And people must know how much you are being paid and what is the nature or target of your lobby. In Kenya, it is not happening. We must put a stop to this. Let everybody lay bare their intentions. Let us all be transparent and let the government of Kenya earn some money through taxes for these lobbying funds that you earn. Kenya has put in place over 10 pieces of legislation targeting corruption, financial crime, transparency, and accountability. A clear indication that the legal foundation is not the weakness. The greater challenge now lies in consistent enforcement and effective implementation. Kenya's efforts are also aligned with global standards, particularly those set by the Financial Action Task Force, of which we are a member. The FATF's peer review framework places strong emphasis on beneficial ownership, transparency as a critical tool in combating money laundering, illicit financial flows, and the concealment of criminal proceeds. I must say, as we stand today, we are not doing very well in that area. So we have to work at it. Public servants must discharge their mandate with discipline and courage. The private sector must reject bribery as a cost of doing business. Civil society must keep watch. The media must continue asking difficult questions. Citizens must refuse to normalize theft disguised as facilitation, because each of us either strengthens the culture of integrity or feeds the culture of impunity. There is no neutral ground. In fact, even lately, the IEBC is doing voter registration. And politicians are talking of going to facilitate voter registration. Young people who have the ID, who are ready, are waiting to be greeted by a politician in order to go and register as a voter. This is unacceptable. You cannot be condemning the government on one side, and here is your greatest opportunity to prepare yourself to put in place the government that you deserve, and you're asking to be facilitated to go undertake that exercise. Serious contradiction. You know, you people don't have many friends. Yeah? You don't have many friends. When you appear to have a cup of tea somewhere with somebody, after a while the person rushes off and pays a bill and disappears, or walks away from that table because they forget you're human beings. Yeah? They forget you're human beings, so they tend to run away from you or to shy away. But as they say, some of these things come with the territory. So you guys are in that center stage. We rely on you. We depend on you. We look forward to your commitment so that we can succeed in the war against corruption. So take heart that as much as you may not have many friends, the world and the country really needs your input, your work, and the impact that you will produce, because with it you'll unlock so much potential for so many others. So, as much as you don't have friends, remember God is with you. The cost is enormous. The World Bank estimates that more than 2.6 trillion US dollars, or about 5% of the global GDP, is lost annually to corruption. The United Nations estimates that the global cost at about 3.6 trillion US dollars in bribes and stolen funds. The OECD indicates that public, private, not-for-profit organizations lose about 5% of revenue to occupational fraud each year, while as much as 8% to 25% of public investment disappears through procurement, fraud, and mismanagement. That is money that should be building roads, hospitals, schools, and creating jobs, Instead, it is vanishing into criminal hands. Corruption thrives where anonymity prevails. It hides behind shell companies, as you have rightly said, opaque ownership structures, and weak regulatory oversight. So when we speak about unmasking beneficial ownership, we are really speaking about exposing hidden networks of illicit wealth, restoring integrity to our financial systems, and reclaiming resources that rightfully belong to our people. In our region, we host some of the continent's strongest reformers alongside some of its most fragile systems. In the Transparency International 2025 Corruption Perception Index, Seychelles scores 68%, the highest in Africa, supported by strong institutions and a stable high-income economy. While South Sudan, nothing personal, and Somalia are the lowest at 9%. These are not just governance indicators, they are also economic signals. I thought I should be blunt as much as possible to speak to this data.
The ultimate deterrent to corruption is the knowledge that there is no safe haven for stolen assets. We must work tirelessly to identify, trace, and repatriate assets, ensuring that proceeds of crime are returned to the public to fund schools, hospitals, and infrastructure.
We are operating in a rapidly evolving global environment defined by complex financial systems, digital transactions, and virtual assets, and increasingly sophisticated networks of illicit financial flows. As we have heard, corruption today is transnational, adaptive, and deeply embedded within global systems. This reality demands that our response be equally robust, transnational in reach, technologically enabled, and institutionally aligned across borders.
Digital tools will help us uncover hidden connections, detect suspicious transactions, and build stronger cases. At the same time, we must never lose sight of the human dimension of our work. Behind every illicit asset is a story of injustice, that of communities deprived, and that of trust betrayed, and of futures compromised because of the greed of a few individuals.